Hi, I'm Sam.
I'm Maz.
I work from the Vegetarian Society Cookery School, the home of veggie cooking. In front of us today, we have one of our lovely food boxes. In here, you will find enough ingredients for 2 delicious recipes. They'll feed 4 people each one, so that's 8 meals. We're going to have a look in here today and show you how to make, thank you, our tomato and green lentil ragu first. So, first thing you do, grab the right things out of your box, and Maz is going to do that for me. So, we need the dried green lentils.
Got those?
Yeast extract, so basically that's Marmite, you'll find in your box. We need 1.5 teaspoons.
That should be enough in there.
Yeah, one of those will be enough. Garlic puree.
Oh, we've got a whole jar of that. That'll be good to make things later on.
2 tins of tomatoes.
1, 2.
Tomato puree.
That's just hiding. Again, we've got a whole tube of this, so we can use that for other dishes.
1 stock cube.
Thank you.
You'll also find a sachet of Italian-style herb blend. This has got lovely herbs like oregano in that you'll find in pasta sauces and pizza sauces, and it's going to make your ragu, your pasta sauce, taste really yummy. We're going to need a little bit of salt and pepper.
I've gone for 2 pepper and 1 salt. I like my food a bit peppery.
So you should find some sachets in there. And then to serve, we've got some dried pasta.
We've got spaghetti. This packet is more than enough to serve 4 people.
Lovely, I think that's everything we need. I'm going to keep hold of the recipe and just pop the rest of this down. Right, on to our method. If you have a look at the how to make it section, you'll see the first thing is rinsing your lentils.
Great, so I've got the lentils here. How many lentils do we need?
We need 120 grams.
So this is a 500 gram bag, so I'm going to weigh out my lentils with the scales. It's about 1/4 of a bag. If you don't have scales, just imagine half of the bag, half that again to get your 1/4, and that's how many lentils you're going to need. But I've got scales today. So my bowl is already on the scales, and as I press on, oh thanks, the scales have gone to 0. If they don't go to 0, the on button is also the 0 button. And we wanted grams, so these scales, they've got grams and pounds and mils and fluid ounces. So I'm going to press the button until I get to the little g, and that means grams. So I'm on 0g, I can measure away. Thanks. 120, wasn't it?
Yep.
I'm going to go nice and slow, 40, 50, oh, nearly there. There we go, lovely, 120, thank you very much.
I'm going to seal this up, we're going to need this for our other recipe.
So these need a nice wash now. Lentils sometimes are stored in massive sacks before they get put down into the smaller bags, so they can have some dust on them. So good covering of water.
That's the same with any dried pulses. I'm going to need a wash before you start cooking them to get rid of all of that dust and dirt.
So get your hands in there and give them a really good rub. You can go with 2 hands if you like.
If you've got children in the house, my little boy loves doing this bit. Any excuse to get his hands in water.
You'll see the water will change colour just a tiny bit, and any dust will settle on the bottom. So I'm just going to give these a few more seconds. You will get them stuck to your hands, just flick them off, that's fine, they're supposed to do that.
Then you're going to want to drain them in we've got a sieve, or you can use a colander just over the sink, get rid of all of that dusty water. You can also just pop the dried lentils straight into a sieve and give them a good rinse under a tap as well, that works too.
So I'm happy, my water's changed colour a little bit. I'm going to go and drain these off so we can get ready to cook them.
The next thing we need to do is cook our lentils, but we want to make sure they're super, super tasty. So we're going to cook them with a little bit of our yeast extract. I'm going to dissolve this into a jug of boiling water first before they go into our pan.
Half a teaspoon?
Half a teaspoon, yeah, I was just checking on my recipe. We're going to use the rest later, so do keep hold of that. You want about, yeah, that's about half a teaspoon. Into the jug, give it a really good stir around. No, so that's all good. No lumps in there, nothing on your spoon. That's good to go. Pan on our stove. This lovely yeast extract Marmite liquid is going to go in. That's going to cook our lentils.
So our lentils have had a really good drain off after they've been rinsed. They're going into our water. I'm going to keep this bowl and colander because I'm going to use it later.
We had 400 millilitres of water into our pan that we dissolved our Marmite in. That should be just enough. If you don't have a measuring jug to measure that, then a regular sized coffee cup plus about a quarter of another one should be enough.
So I want to get this boiling, so I've got my heat on maximum here. I'm going to know it's boiling because it'll be loads of steam and lots of big bubbles coming up. My lentils are starting to move already, so I'm almost there. I don't want to cook it on boiling because I'll boil all that liquid away and we're going to use that liquid to flavour our dish. So there I have a nice furious boil. I want to cook it on a simmer. So I'm going to turn it down to low and the bubbles have gone. We've just got some nice gentle movement on the lentils and little bubbles appearing. So I'm going to keep an eye on that because I don't want to cook all the liquid away. I might top it up a tiny bit if I feel like the lentils aren't covered and cooking well.
Yeah, if you notice that your lentils look a little bit dry and there's not a lot of water in there, little touch more water. You're going to want to give them a stir here or there just to make sure they're not going to stick to the pan.
These are going to take 15 minutes to cook, and like we said, give them a little stir here and there and keep an eye on that water level.
Right, I think our lentils are about cooked. They've had their 15 minutes. I want to just make sure, so we lift some out and I'm going to take just one and give it a little squish, and they should be kind of squishable without being too mushy, so a little bit of firmness.
So they're done cooking, off with my heat. I'm going to drain them off. I'm going to keep this liquid, so I'm using the sieve and bowl that I had here earlier, nice and slowly. I don't want to get any splashes.
We're going to use the liquid as part of our sauce in the next step of our recipe, so we do want to keep hold of that. It'll have all that yummy yeast extract in.
And I want to get all these lentils out of this pan. There we go, liquid in the bottom, lentils in the top.
We just need to grab a slightly bigger pan to make our sauce. We've got a medium-sized saucepan on quite a low heat. That's just going to warm up nice and gently.
Lentils going in first. I'm going to start stirring those straight away. I don't want them to stick.
And then we're starting with our flavour ingredients. We've got garlic puree here. We've got a whole jar. We're not going to need the whole jar, obviously. We are going to need 1 teaspoon, and that's going to go in with our lentils.
That'll make a space for you there. Thank you
go.
very much. Just going to turn that up a touch. I want to start cooking that garlic. Going to be here for a couple of minutes. The garlic's going to cook through, and also the lentils are going to firm up a little bit to give our ragu nice texture. Has that been our 2 minutes now?
I think that is our 2 minutes. So our lentils have just started to crisp up ever so slightly on the edges. Then we are going to add 2 tablespoons of our yummy liquid that we soaked and cooked our lentils in with the Marmite in there.
So this is going to help start cooking those lentils through a bit more and also stop them from sticking and stop the garlic from sticking. Going to give those a stir for another couple of minutes now.
Another 2 minutes, yeah. Make sure you stir all of the time to stop them sticking to the pan.
That's good, nothing's been sticking there.
Okay, now to put all the rest of our ingredients in. If you go to step 6 in your recipe, you'll be able to see all of the other ingredients. So we need our chopped tomatoes going in. That's 2 tins, thank you. Tomatoes are the basis of so many lovely pasta sauces. 2 in here. Good portions of vegetables for you.
Don't worry about your splashes.
Give those a really good stir. Next on our recipe, we've got 1 tablespoon of tomato puree.
Thank you.
Can I grab the tablespoon back, please?
Yep.
That might just need a little pop to get that open. 1 tablespoon. That's going to make it a lot richer and kind of more tomatoey. Then we have our stock powder or stock cube. Let's give it a stir.
I've got a cube. This one's a little bit sticky, so I'm just going to make sure it gets crumbled in. We don't want a big lump of stock. We want it to be all the way through the dish. That's all in now.
Then we have our Italian mixed herbs. Got 2 teaspoons.
So this is already measured out for you. You can check it if you like, but we've got 2 teaspoons. That's it, we keep that stirring because the tomatoes are starting to bubble already and we don't want to spray the kitchen with tomato. What's next?
Our seasoning, our salt and pepper. I like mine not too salty, so I'm going to go about a sachet. You've also got a little bit of salty flavour in your yeast extract and or Marmite. How many pepper are we going?
I'm going for 2 peppers. This dish is going to feed 4 people, so it's not a lot of seasoning really for 4 people. And then lastly, we need the rest of our Marmite.
Yes, the rest of our yeast extract, and that's going to give it kind of, you know, a really, really savoury flavour, a slightly meaty flavour as well. Make sure you scrape that all out.
This is looking and smelling really tasty now.
Good, good. Okay, scrape that in. And oh, we've forgotten one other thing. That's the rest of our cooking liquid from the lentils. That's going to give us a touch more liquid in there. So what's going to happen when we cook this now, some of the liquid's going to kind of boil off and it's going to reduce in size and get thicker. So we don't want to reduce it down to nothing, so we add the rest of our cooking liquid, again really boosting those savoury flavours too.
So this is going to cook now. I'm going to take it up to a high heat to get it boiling. I'm lucky, my heat acts really quickly. And then I want to simmer it a bit like we did when we were cooking the lentils. And it's going to take about 10 minutes to just finish cooking through.
Yeah, make sure you go back and stir it here or there so it doesn't stick, and do keep an eye on your heat. Turn it down when you need to, turn it up when you need to. Make sure you keep it stirring too. Now is a good time, if you've got another stove free, to cook your pasta. So let's go do that. Our tomato sauce is just cooking away merrily to itself, and I'm going to give that a stir here or there, and we're going to cook our pasta. So we have quite a big pan, lots of boiling water.
So I got this boiling up in the kettle before I put it in my pan. It's a little bit better on your energy, and I've got it full heat now, max, so lots and lots of good bubbles there.
I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this, so about a half of one of the little salt sachets should do it. There we go. We need 300 grams of pasta, so you can either weigh this out on scales if you have those, or have a look at your packet. So how big is that packet?
This is a 500 gram packet. So again, let's do our halfway thing again. There's halfway, so that's 250. So I need a little bit more. So I've gone just over halfway. How does that look?
Yep, that looks perfect. It doesn't matter if it's ever so slightly out, that's absolutely fine. It just means that somebody will have a bit more pasta. All good?
So I'm just going to give this a slight bend to get it in. Get my power up to maximum, because as I'm putting this cold, dry pasta into the hot water, the temperature's dropping really quickly.
As you can see, Maz is holding onto a spaghetti at first, and this is because obviously spaghetti's really long. It's not going to fit in your pan all at once. So we're going to wait for the bottom of it to become just a little bit bendy in the hot water and gently push all the dry bit in.
Then we do need to do a little bit of poking to get our super long spaghetti into the pan. And I want to make sure it's stirred through. I don't want that spaghetti to stick. So for the first minute, just to make sure all that hot water has got through the spaghetti and it's not sticking. We're not on a really rapid boil here. I'm just going to turn it down a touch.
Yeah, so your pasta wants to boil away for this one. It takes about 10 to 12 minutes for spaghetti. If you check the back of the packet and whichever spaghetti that you have in your food box, you might have spaghetti or you might have a different kind of pasta, it will tell you the cooking time.
So I'm happy I've loosened these all up. You can see they're individual bits of spaghetti now. I want to get that onto a nice a boil, but I don't want it to boil over. So I'm just going to stay with it for another minute just to get it to the right temperature, and then I can leave it to cook away. I think that's it, a nice roiling bowl, but it's not bubbling over.
Our pasta's had about 10-11 minutes now, so that should be just about done for the spaghetti. If you're not sure, then test a little bit.
So I'm just trying to try and just tear a piece off. So if it's soft in your hand, if you can break it between your fingers, it shows it's cooked. I'm just going to test the piece. That's still got a bit of firmness to it, which is how I like it.
If you like it a lot softer, then just give it an extra couple of minutes. When you get the cooking time on the back of the pasta, it'll usually say like 10 to 12 minutes. If you like it firmer, 10 minutes. If you like it softer, then give it the maximum amount of time.
So I've got my colander here. I'm going to pop that over the sink and drain that off, and then that'll be ready to serve straight away.
I'll grab our pasta sauce, our ragu, and we'll serve a bowl out. We have our lovely ragu, our pasta sauce. You see how thick and delicious that looks. And our cooked pasta. I'm going to serve out a nice, yummy, generous portion now.
So I want this to serve 4 people. So visually, I'm going to break it into 2 and then break that into 2 again and try and serve that out. I'm using tongs because I find it quite easy with tongs. Oh, it's nice and stringy. And there we go. Just give it a turn so I don't drop it. There we go.
We're serving ours out with the spaghetti on the bottom and then the sauce on the top. You can just pop them both together in one big pan. And give it a really good mix around. So this looks a little bit like a bolognese, so your kids should love this. Everybody in the family should find this really, really yummy. It's for everybody. I think we're gonna go for about 3 generous spoons on there. Give it a little bit of a spread about. And there we have a vegetarian and vegan take on a classic spaghetti bolognese.